When does buyer engagement begin? Well, if you think it starts when you first meet the buyer, then your thinking is last century. Think of the buyer relationship being formed as part of a journey, and then work out where the journey begins for the buyer and how you can become their agent before they even realize that they need one. Not impossible. In this episode, I catch up with digital expert and Dick co-founder Dick Karlsson. Dick and I talk about the buyer's journey to find you and how in servicing the needs of the seller, that is actually going to help you facilitate that experience for the buyer. Lots of take home in this interview with Dick. Here it is now, my chat with Dick Karlsson from Dick. Hey Dick, thank you for your time and welcome to the show.
My pleasure, Dan. Thank you for having me.
Having an online presence isn't enough, is it? I mean, content is the king now, which is really what I want to talk to you about. It's not just building a digital platform, it's actually what you offer, how you build that relationship. If we could talk about that. Firstly, can I ask you, how has the buying experience changed in the last 5 years?
I think to answer that question, I think you and me, Kevin, and everybody listening to this interview need to take a step back and actually see ourselves as buyers. Doesn't matter if we're buying something on Amazon or if we're buying something from Qantas. I think we can all agree that everything is going so much faster. Everything is being so much more transparent. Mm-hmm. So, and our demand for service is unparalleled. If you look at Uber or if you look at somebody else in the new digital arena, yep. Really our patience for if an Uber driver is 3 minutes away will cancel that and demand something to be in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think the buyer experience for property is dramatically shifting from being okay with looking at a few photos, which has of poor quality with a potentially poor 2D floor plan, to today demanding being fully transparent in a time-poor community world that we're in. If you have a time slot at 10 p.m. and you got online to see anything you want to see before potentially going to the open on the Sunday, you want to see everything.
Yeah.
You want to feel that what you're seeing is really what you want to see and going to see on the open for inspection. And basically, if you don't get the full information, you're thinking the agent is hiding something.
Yeah.
So I think really that's the big change.
Yeah, and we, I guess going back maybe a couple of decades really, pre the internet, the agents had all the control, they had all the information, and then the internet came along and that whole buyer experience needed to change because the agent simply became the facilitator of that information, not the holder of it or the owner of it. So I guess in a way that's really changed how we work with buyers and how we need to build better relationships, Dick.
I think we need to be brutally honest with each other. The world of today is one of full transparency. There's no secrets. You can't hide anything. If you are not fully transparent to your market, meaning both vendors and buyers, you will not be trusted. If you coming into a lounge room, you can be guaranteedly 100% certain that that vendor has done their analysis on you. They looked on your social media. They looked on your digital website. They looked on your ratings. They probably asked a few people in the community that have sold through you. They've probably gone to one of your opens. You got to understand that you can't hide anything. You shouldn't. I mean, who wants to hide anything? But as you said, Kevin, the information, the power of information is in the consumer's hand. You are the facilitator. You are the absolutely knowledge hub in some aspects. May it be schools, may it be anything that is in the local community, but everything of that should also be transparent, and you should service that to your local community. So you're right. Anything from two decades ago where information was power, you got to get that out of your head. You are the facilitator of that information. And if they, for some reason, are searching for some extra information, you need to have that.
Yeah, and that's really where the content comes in, isn't it? I mean, when we're really very familiar with the area in which we work, we can bring that information together. We can educate buyers, and we can take them on that journey. I'm sometimes interested to try and understand where the journey starts for the buyer. I mean, how do they find the agent? Is it about good content?
I think overall it is really about a overall digital strategy. I mean, really in today's connected society, maybe social media, maybe on your website, maybe, of course, at the open. You got to have a full 360 perspective of where the potential buyer or vendor is interacting with you. So I think from what you're saying here, the content perspective of providing something better in your social media / on your digital website than you're not seeing anywhere else, that is the formula of success that I've seen in Scandinavia, in parts of the US, some of the biggest brands in the Australia, New Zealand that is now pivoting dramatically in this segment, maybe Barfoot & Thompson in Auckland, maybe Toop & Toop or Stone or Hawking Stewart or Corona, some of the big brands that had jumped on early on, getting onto the Decrypt solutions, getting onto the digital strategy. They're pivoting dramatically. Even through the tougher times for the last 6 months when the market was really tough, they are growing. They are dominating their marketplace. So I see really aspects of this content that you and I are talking about today that are offering also complementary things to what you actually can see in the open. Things you can do on a computer, on your mobile. You can, in a furniture application, you can actually look and see if your furniture will fit. You can take down walls. You can reconfigure your kitchen. You can walk through the property in a photo panorama 360 hotspot walkthrough of the property at your time. The only thing you can't do online, in my view, is smell, and physically, if there's something you want to touch, that you can do in the open. But everything else you could and should do online.
Yeah, you're probably working on some apps to help us smell.
I think from a perspective, I mean, we are human beings. I think, and this is from a Decrypt perspective. We service more than 2,000 real estate offices in the world. We work with 12,000 agents every day. We listen to their demands, their needs, their pain points, and everything we've done over the 18 years is based out of that.
Yeah,
we've interviewed buyers, we've interviewed vendors, so everything we put forward is based on that. Nothing else. And again, sure, smell is nice to do online, but it's not really a driver for us.
No. We'll probably leave that to the real live open house, where you can smell 100%. The bread and so on. Can I just talk, because you are a worldwide brand, you're traveling all the time, you're seeing what agents are experiencing. Let's talk about that interactive engaging of buyers. What do you see as the greatest benefits for the agent in doing that?
I think overall, as I talked about a few minutes back, we're all time poor today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, when we started Decrypt in 2001, I did it out of frustration, going to opens on my Sunday. I didn't have kids then, but I had a wife and I had a business, etc. So I was time poor even then. Today's society, everybody is doing practice with your kids, of course, but everything, we're super time poor. So you need to offer something at a time point where I'm actually have a time slot. So as I normally say, my day is jam-packed from 6 o'clock in the morning to basically 9:30 in the evening. I have everything planned out. At 9:30, I get some time with my wife, and 10 o'clock, I can actually do 30 minutes of actually online research, etc. That's my timeline. The agent that actually offers a solution for me to go on their website and find a truly presentation of the property, and best case, if they have them by themselves or if they have outsourced it, if they have a chat function or somebody I can ask at that point, man, I'm theirs. Yeah. I'll be at that open on the Sunday and I'll be placing a bid. So I think that's the mindset you need to have. Everybody's time poor. You have to facilitate the information that they need at the time when they can actually look at it.
Yeah, you touched a few moments ago on some of the tools. I'd like to focus a little bit on those because that is the key. That's helping buyers almost before the inspection make a decision. The inspection really becomes a confirmation of what they've learned from those tools. Can we talk about the tools that you've created? Because I know that these are very reactive to what you've noticed from the demands of agents. Can we talk about that?
Yeah. 100%. So if we're all in sales, right? Every agent looking at it, we're all in sales. Everything for me is a sales funnel. Everything for me is an interest funnel. So basically, when I look online and I'm looking at properties, maybe on realestate.com, maybe on domain, maybe on just Google search it. When I come to a listing presentation online, yes, the pictures, the images, they are super important. They're the start of my buying journey. They need to be appealing. They need to be good looking. They need to be consistent. And basically what we say, they need to be good enough to be basically represented in Vogue magazine. Doesn't matter if it's a $200,000 property or if it's $40 million island, they should have that photography. So that's where my and everybody's buyer journey starts. If I get that interest, I click in. And when I click in, I want to see the floor plans. The floor plans for me is the dimensions of the property. I got a rational mindset. I look at the 2D floor plan, look at the measurements. Absolutely, I get it. My wife, a lot of my friends, they need a 3D floor plan. From the fact that only 30% of the population can look at a 2D floor plan, in their head, translate that into space. The 3D floor plan with furniture combines that. You can see, okay, that's a king-size bed, that's the layout of the kitchen, you can see it in 3D. So that's the next step in the buyer journey. If, and this is where the magic happens, if you click on through that and you start engaging with the interactive products, the next line is the furniture applications. You then basically start looking at, okay, mentally, will my furniture fit? You start dragging in furniture to the 2D floor plan. Yeah, okay, fine. That's a 2x2 bed, and again, I can fit that in the lounge room. Blah blah blah. Okay, what can I change? Can I take down this wall? Can I put up another wall? And there's millions and millions of people going through the furniture application doing that. And then basically, you share that with your spouse. You send it on. Look what I've done. And then you go down to the configuration. You can look at kitchen, bathroom, your exterior if you're selling a house. Okay, is there something here that I don't really like? Because everybody's different, right? Everybody has individual taste. I start changing the cabinets. I start changing the flooring in the kitchen. I'm looking at the exterior. What would this property look with the white coloring, maybe new tiles on the roof, new windows, and you engage. You spend 3, 4, 5, 10, 15. All of a sudden, you spend 20 minutes. You're saving it. You're sending it to the spouse. And basically, you are so committed emotionally to this property.
Yeah.
So instead of swiping left or right on any portal, which spends maybe 10, 15, 20 seconds, and then you move on, you're suddenly spending on your website with your brand 10, 15, 20 minutes. And then finally, you take that photo panorama tour around the property. You look at the view. You really go around and you show that 5, 10, 15 spots of the property that are really unique. And then, mate, you actually engage. And this is the magic.
Yeah.
We measure everything in the interactive solutions. You actually, if you're in the mobile app or in somewhere on your mobile, you actually click phone call. If this is between 9 and 6, you actually want to talk to the agent, you engage. We've measured with Barfoot and Thompson and some other leading brands in the world on their website, the content that we provide versus the listings that doesn't have it, the engagement versus conversion. The conversion actually, when you click through contact the agent in mail or phone, is 300% higher.
Yeah, that's incredible. I've heard those figures, and I've seen the evidence too, and I've also seen the amount of time people will spend on a site that has these tools. And just to explain a little bit more about that, when I first went through that with your team, to be able to take walls out, to look at what a home is going to look like even before you buy it, after you renovate it, even down to the special measurement of the furniture that you've got. I mean, it's very, very interactive.
I mean, it's of course from a buyer journey, everything that we're talking about now from an agent perspective is up until you actually sell the property.
Yeah.
But I think also the leading one in the world that has a long-term perspective in their market, they then actually offer all these solutions to the buyer. So when they actually sit at the contract, they sign up the buyer, and you say, "Dear Mr. Buyer, congratulations, you will get access to your property in say 90 days when everything is settled. But today, here is all the applications, the tools that you've been loving, and actually, so you can mentally start moving in.
Yeah.
You can renovate your kitchen, you can contact your developer, you can contact your architect. That is next level. That is the next level of actually bringing value to your buyer, not just thinking of him, okay, now he's bought, the commission is safe, now I move on.
Yep.
The true agent of tomorrow, what we've seen in Scandinavia and parts of the US, they are doing that. They've done that for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
They are dominating their market space because they think beyond the actual sale. So the funnel actually, it goes down to the sale and then it goes down and up again. So we actually start servicing the buyer and making a relationship. And in some cases, they actually make money on that buyer. Again, facilitating these services. So that is the view of the future. Of course, facilitating coming down to the open and selling the property, but then also beyond that, looking at the buyer as an owner of the property.
I want you now, in closing, Dick, if you could, to give us a bit of pill. You and I have talked about this in the past, and that is the amount of vendor-paid advertising that we're able to secure here. Because I was going to ask you about tough market conditions and how some agents, won't use these tools simply because, one, they think they're too expensive, or that they think they have to get vendor-paid advertising.
Yeah.
Paint the real picture for us about how lucky we are in this country.
Yeah, I think from a perspective of having the privilege to work globally with 2,000 and some offices, real estate offices, and we only work with real estate agent offices. So just to be clear, Dick only works with real estate agent-driven businesses. So we have the privilege of 2,000 odd offices and roughly 12,000 agents going through our systems every day. So really, coming from Sweden, where I am right now, this is a market which doesn't have vendor-paid advertising. If you look at the global perspective, it's only Australia and New Zealand that has vendor-paid advertising. Everywhere in the world, everybody is struggling on a commission to actually secure the listing, sell it, and market it from that perspective. So in a perspective of fighting in your market, if you're not getting vendor-paid advertising, you're like 99% of the global population of real estate agents. So I think, as I said to you in the past, Kevin, Dick is the biggest in the world in our field. We develop solutions based on buyers and vendors and agents' needs. We are not expensive. A solution with all the interactives, they start from like $300 and of course can cater up. So we don't win the biggest accounts in the world by being expensive. We do this on mass volume of consistent quality, big process orientation, all system integration, good training. So I want to say to all the agents listening to your show, we are not in this market to be expensive. We win the best in the business, may it be a $250,000 property with no VPA to a $40 million island with high VPA. We cater to them both and everything in between. We are a mass market perspective in that sense. We don't just cater to the eastern suburb of Sydney. On the opposite, our success has been on the middle range to lower range, and building from that, of course, we can cater the best, or not the best, but the highest VPA in the business. That's easy. We've done our success and doing 150,000 properties a year based on the aspects of no VPA, because we're coming from Sweden with no VPA. That's where we're born and raised. So really coming into Australia and talking to agents that struggle with VPA, we say, hey, if you put $300, you build your own dynamic digital footprint in your local community and drive through your social media with, yes, organic and some paid, driving people back to your website, having a strong digital presence on your own website, you'll manage on that.
Yeah.
You don't need more than a few $100 to do the digital content, and then you actually boost it in your social and digital channels. I mean, you don't need $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 to market a property. You could and you should in some aspects, but you don't have to in the mass majority of listings.
Great message and fantastic talking to you too, Dick. Thank you very much for your time. If you want to get a little bit more information about this, we'll make sure there's a link attached to this video so you can go straight to the Dick team. And, I implore you, go and check it out for yourself, because it'll turn your real estate life around. Hey, Dick, thank you so much for your time. Great talking to you, my friend, and look forward to catching up again soon.
My pleasure. Let's talk soon. See you.